Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Okay, we're going to continue with the Bible study topic we had the other night. Is Yahawashi Solomon 2.0? Okay, this would be like part 3 to that. So, we're hearing debate as to the idea that Yahawashi is Solomon come back in the flesh, reincarnated. Okay, and there are brothers out here teaching that Yahawashi was not good. Okay, that he, I guess, was with sin because of the sin of Solomon when he added many wives into his harem, and it caused Solomon to go off. That sin was applied to Yahawashi when he came back, and so that why it was needful for him to die to recompense his own sin in his former life as Solomon. Confusing, but we're going to go into the scripture and try to give understanding to these things, because I firmly do not believe in reincarnation. I do not believe the doctrine that these camps are pushing with not being a heaven or hell, and that you go and come back as another form, and 3 and 4 generations between 1 to 20 years or something, 1 to 80 years or something, you can come back as another person. That's not in the Bible. I know that they're trying to find precepts to support it, but that's not in the Bible. But we're going to deal with what's truly in the Bible and talk about these things, okay? So I was laying out the premise in the last 2 parts of this study that if Solomon, if we're holding to the idea that Solomon came back in the form of Yahawashi to die on the cross, to not only save Israel from their iniquity, but to recompense his own iniquity when he used to be Solomon, then according to 2 Samuel chapter 7, the Davidic covenant that the Most High gave to David, let me go there. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 12 through 15. Second Samuel chapter 7, verses 12 through 15. So this is the agreement, the covenant that the Most High made with David so many years ago. Okay, and it's different from the agreement that the Most High made with Solomon and his children. Okay, but it reads from verse 12 to 15. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. So there's 3 components, really a 4th, but there's 3 major components to all the earthly kings that proceeded from David. Every king of Judah that has sat on the throne, or any ruler, monarch over Israel that came from the lineage of David, fulfilled 3 components, except for the 4th. Only one person in human history will occupy that 4th component, which is Yahawashi. But the 3 components are, 1, establishing his kingdom. Okay. Verse 13, he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Okay, that he will build a house for the Most High. Now, verse 14, I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. Now, we know that this ultimately is talking about Yahawashi, and that his throne, will last forever, and that he said that, verse 13, yeah, I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. Yahawashi is the only king that will have an everlasting kingdom. David didn't have an everlasting kingdom. Solomon didn't have an everlasting kingdom. All of the righteous kings of Judah that came after Solomon through the lineage of David did not have an everlasting kingdom. They eventually died and gave their kingdom over to their son. And at some point, leadership and rulership by the men of Judah were no more. Okay, whether it be the Babylonian captivity or whether it be this captivity here in America, we do not have a king sitting on the throne of Judah or on the throne of Israel ruling. But according to this Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel chapter 7, Yahawashi will come and fulfill that. We'll read on. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. So these are the three components that the king, or those that will come after David, he will establish his kingdom. Okay, he will help to build the house of Yahweh, and then if he sin, he will be chastened with the rods of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Okay, they will be punished for their iniquity. Yahawashi fulfills that as well. He occupies those three components, but this fourth one here only belongs to Yahawashi. Verse 15, but my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. Okay, so whether it be Solomon or any of the kings that I'm about to bring out, they all had their kingdom established. They all helped to build or repair or renovate the house of Yahweh, and they sinned and had to be punished. Yahawashi did not sin, but he still bore the sins of Israel when he died on the cross. But mercy shall not depart from him. Okay? So now that we established the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel, we're going to go and talk about the covenant or the promise that was made to Solomon, or the agreement rather, that was made with Solomon. 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 2. First Kings chapter 9, verse 2. Read verses 2 through 7. That Yahweh appeared to Solomon a second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And Yahweh said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built, to put my name there forever, and mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually. Okay, so he's talking, this is right after Solomon built the very first temple unto the Most High. And he's saying that he will set his name there perpetually, meaning forever. We understand that this temple was eventually destroyed. So the Most High wasn't talking about the building. He was talking about this site, this area. Okay? Read on. 4. And if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel. So even the Father is bringing to Solomon's remembrance, or bringing to his knowledge, the very covenant he made years earlier with his father David. I spoke to your father, and I promised him that not a king from his lineage will not fail to be upon the throne. But he's making this second agreement with Solomon. If you walk in my ways, I will, through you and through your lineage, establish the kingdom forever. But if you sin, if you do not keep my commandments, this is the consequence. Verse 6. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name, and I will cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. Okay? So the Most High made a promise to David. And if he made a promise, you know he's not going to break it. And his promise to David is, there shall always be a king to sit, or not always be a king, but there will be a king to sit upon your throne from your loins. And his kingdom shall be established forever. That was the promise. Years later, the Most High speaks to Solomon and says, if you keep my commandments, I will affirm that covenant I made with your father. But there's a caveat. If you go off, or your children go off, then I'm going to rent the kingdom from you, and I'm going to cast the children of Israel, the entire nation, into captivity. Okay? So the Most High was prepared to do this if Solomon or any of his seed was disobedient. But even in doing that, the Most High still provided provisions in his first covenant with David to always have a king in the end to sit upon his throne and be established. Okay? I'm going to go to 1 Kings 11 and 38. So you see that the Most High spoke with David and said, I promise you, in the end, you're going to have a king that's going to come from you. He's going to sit on your throne and be established forever. That is my promise. Later, he speaks to Solomon and says, hey, I know what I promised your father, and I'm prepared to keep that promise. But I'm going to make an agreement with you. If you keep my commandments, I will establish you. But if you don't, or if your children go off, then you're going to be cut off out of the land and be sent into captivity and be a reproach and a byword. A proverb and a byword. And we are living proof of that right now because Solomon went off. Okay? And so Yahawashi, if he was reincarnated as Solomon and he was with sin, then he would not be sufficient or acceptable as a sacrifice without spot or blemish to die for the sins of Israel. Okay? And furthermore, as I mentioned before, Solomon is the reason, along with the sinfulness of all of our forefathers and our continued disobedience. But Solomon was kind of that linchpin. He was kind of the catalyst for the sinfulness within our nation, which led to our captivity, which led to our exile, which led to our dispersal and expulsion out of the land. It was Solomon that started that. It was his sinfulness. And so Yahawashi is having to come and clean up the mess that Solomon left and that all the wicked kings and the wicked Israelites left. Okay? So he spoke with David. He spoke with Solomon. Now we're going to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 38 and 39. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Okay? So this is the word that goes to Jeroboam. He is not of the house of David. He is of the son of Nebat. Okay? Ephrathite. Okay? So he was not of the seed line of David. But the Most High, through the prophet, speaks to Jeroboam and says, look, I'll make an agreement with you because I made an agreement with Solomon and he's going off and acting a fool. So I'm going to make an agreement with you. If you keep my commandments, Jeroboam, then I will make you a sure house and put you on the same level as David. Now, even if he did that, and Jeroboam and his children were righteous and kept the commandments, and they were the kings of Judah or kings of Israel, that still would not disannul the covenant agreement that the Most High made with David. Because he said, I will afflict the house of David for this, but not forever. Okay, so the Most High made clauses and provisions within the covenant contract with David. There may be a time where you're dismissed or discontinued from the throne, but in the end, David, you're going to have your seed to sit upon the throne and be established forever. So Jeroboam had a very special opportunity to have glory likened unto David. The Most High was prepared in that dispensation to remove the kingship from Solomon, from his children, from David, and put it in Jeroboam's seed line. He was prepared to do that. Okay, but Jeroboam went off. He built two golden calves in Dan and Bethel or something like that. He went off, made his own holidays, got the people to start worshiping there because he was afraid of Rehoboam. Okay, so what we want to understand is these are the things that happened which led to Yahawashi having to come and die. It was Solomon's transgression. where Yahawashi had to come. So Yahawashi is not Solomon again. He's a king likened unto Solomon. He has glory and honor and shall have majesty and excellency on that great day, likened unto Solomon, greater than Solomon even. But he's not Solomon. He's having to clean up the mess Solomon made. Okay? He existed before Solomon. He was declared before Solomon. He said, before Abraham was, I am. Okay? So, those three components in the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel chapter 7 is, I will establish his kingdom. He will help to build my house. And if he go off, I will chasten him with the rods of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Because one of the part of the camp's doctrine is that Solomon, when he sinned his great sin, did not face persecution. He died in peace, so to speak, and that Yahawashi had to be Yahawashi is Solomon come back, and him dying on the cross is the stripes of men. Now, the death of Yahawashi on the cross is rods of men and the stripes of the children of men, but it's not a recompense for Solomon's sins in his own flesh, if that makes sense. It is a recompense for the iniquity of Solomon as well as all the people, but it's not Solomon coming back to pay for his own sins on the cross. Okay? But it's that Yahawashi died to pay for the iniquity of Solomon and every other person that came thereafter. And all the iniquity that came before. Even David's sin. He blotted that out when he died. Okay? And so, the fact is that Solomon did receive rods of men and stripes of the children of men. Rod, coming from the Hebrew word shebet, meaning branch, stick, correction, scepter, staff. Okay? Or stripes from the Hebrew word naga, meaning a blow, plague, stricken, stroke, wound. So it can mean to beat, but then it can mean, just to be afflicted. And Solomon was, we read this the last time, that the Most High stirred up 3 adversaries against Solomon in his latter year because of his iniquity. Hadad the Edomite, Rezin the Syrian, and Jeroboam of his own brethren. He rose up 3 adversaries to fight against Solomon because the majority of his empire, or majority of his reign rather, was in peace. He built the temple. Everyone gave him presents. He had glory, honor. He expanded the boundaries of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Solomon had it made. He went off. The Most High said, okay, I'm done with all this peace stuff. I'm gonna bring some tumult into your kingdom. I'm gonna bring some adversaries and some wars or warrings into, into the kingdom. So Solomon was afflicted. So, that idea that, Solomon didn't have to pay for his sins, that's kind of debunked because he, according to the scriptures, Solomon had to pay for that. He paid for his sin. And furthermore, according to the Solomon agreement there in 1 Kings chapter 9, he said, if you or your children, let me read that real quick again. 1 Kings 9. See. Verse 6. 1 Kings 9 and 6. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. So not only did Solomon have to pay for his iniquity, but Rehoboam and all the king and all the children of Israel had to bear the weight of Solomon's transgression. So we all got beat with the rod. We all got beat with the stripes. In lesser degree, but we have. The nations have risen up against us, have put yokes and fetters upon our neck, and we have been chastened and are continued continuing to be chastened by the nations, by the children of men, because of our continued disobedience that I don't want to say started with Solomon like he's the beginning of all sin. But Solomon knew Solomon knew the consequence. We'll put it like that. He knew the ramifications for his sin. He did it anyway. The Most High gave him the law in Deuteronomy. He visited him twice and told him specifically, please, Solomon, I'm asking you, please, don't get all these foreign women because they're only going to turn your heart from me. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'm going to be sure not to do that. And then 700 wives, 300 concubines later, he's building all these false gods and in love with all these women. The very thing... You had a question? Go ahead.
Solomon was like a warlock, wasn't he?
There's a lot of tradition as to, him delving into a lot of dark stuff because he had so many altars and groves and high places built to these false gods. All of his women had different belief systems, so he catered to all of them. So and then his wisdom was increased. You know what I'm saying? There's stories of how Solomon controlled demons and stuff like that.
He used to talk to the dead, right?
Different stuff. I don't know. Well, you talk about Saul.
Because it was Saul,
it was Saul that consorted with a witch to bring to bring Samuel's spirit back to talk to him.
I thought Solomon was doing that too.
Well, it's not expressed there, but there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of different traditions and different books we've read where it talks about Solomon got into different stuff. They talk about, Knight Templars. They talk about the rights of Solomon, the keys, the greater and lesser keys of Solomon. Yeah. A lot of deep, dark stuff. Solomon was going off, man. He was going off. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of had that spirit like you, where his wisdom was increased, and so that gives you kind of a curious mind. That's why he could write Proverbs and write all these things. Bruh, I've seen it all. It ain't nothing I haven't seen. I've seen the greatest heights of glory, and I've seen the greatest darkness of wickedness. I've seen it all, and everything in between. I had all the women. I had all the glory. I've been at low state where I've been mad. And I've been in places where I feel like I've reached the pinnacle of intelligence. I've been everywhere. So Solomon can boast in these type of things. And in order to gain more wisdom, he's like, let me just be curious and experience it. Let me just delve a little deeper into these dark arts. Let me see what it's all about. Let my wisdom increase. That's not the way to do things, but Solomon was going off, man. He was going off. But the agreement was, if you or your children go off, not only will they have to pay for the iniquity, but I'm going to cause the whole nation to have to pay for your iniquity. Why? Because you're the king. And if the king does something and allows it, then what happens? The whole nation will do it. If the king said, all right, we're going to have National Wear Diaper on Your Head Day. All right, okay, well, let me grab that diaper and put it. You have no choice but to follow after the ordinance of the king. Wasn't that even in the book of Daniel? The wicked men came to the king and said, put this into, put this into law. All right, I'm going to sign my signet on it. Boom, it's a law now. Now I can't even turn back on my own law. And so they used that as a scheme to get Daniel killed. But I'm just bringing that out to show you that when a king do something, the whole kingdom got to listen. You got to hearken to the king. You going to tell the king you're not going to do it? Bring that man to my court. What's his name? Oh, yeah, come here. So you told the guards you wasn't going to do it? Go off with his head, man. Off with his head. Put him to death. Nah, dog, I didn't mean it, no, king. You know what I'm saying? They lying on me, man. Nah. Sometimes you just got to get a little animated. You got to use your imagination. You know what I'm saying? But when the king says something, it's a wrap, man. You got to listen to that. And if Solomon's going off and he's setting up all of these thrones, think about the contrast between Solomon when he was walking upright and praying to the Most High and keeping the feast days. He had the great commencement ceremony. You know what I'm saying? And had the great feast at the building of the temple, kind of the groundbreaking, if you will. ribbon cutting, if you will. When there's a hotel built or some great building built, they're going to have all of the, I'm about to say chief of staff, the CEOs and chairmen and important people to come, and they'll have a party and all of that to celebrate the opening of this business, or, the ribbon cutting, the groundbreaking ceremony, all that stuff. So it's the same way. And it was very glorious because Solomon got riches. He got power, fame, all that. I bet all the other kings came and gave, extra food and extra gifts and stuff. Did all that and prayed before the Most High. And the Most High said, I heard your prayer. What is it that thou desirest of me? I'm prepared to give it to you. He gave him all that, right? Solomon was doing the right thing. And then he went off. You know what I'm saying? No women messed him up. So you go from, building this great temple, serving the Most High, following after the ways of your father. Then so many years later, now a common Israelite can come out and see high places and groves and images of false gods all over the place. I'm like, dang, what happened, Solomon? Don't worry about it. I'm just trying to make my wives happy, Happy wife, happy life, brother. You know what I'm saying? But I thought, you're supposed to be keeping the commandments. What's up? You got the king of baloney over here. What's going on? So you see there was a great transformation from Solomon keeping the commandments to him going off. And because of that, the people went after it. And because of that, the Most High had to fulfill his end of the bargain and said, if you go off, you or your children, I'm going to send all of y'all into captivity. All of y'all is going into bondage. And like I said, we are the living proof of that. Thanks, Solomon. Thanks a lot. Okay? But the point is that Solomon sinned. He faced the rods of man and the stripes of the children of men. And Yahawashi, who was from the beginning, let us remember, when I was talking about the virgin birth, talking about how he is, Yahawashi that is the son of the Father. Okay, he is divine. I know the camps don't agree with that as well. They believe that he, was begotten of Joseph from his loins. But even the scriptures say, in parentheses, I forget, in Luke, the son of Joseph, as was supposed. Like, why would they put that in there? If he was begotten, you got a question?
So was Solomon AD or BC?
BC.
BC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to say 1500 BC. I want to say. Don't quote me. It's kind of hard to keep those times in your head, but it was a while ago. Put it like that. But Yahawashi was from the beginning. He is the son of Yah. So he didn't have to come back as Solomon again and, pay for his sins back when he had all them wives. Okay? Yahawashi was unblemished, undefiled by women. He didn't have intercourse. Now Solomon, on the other hand, he was having a good time. Yahawashi was a eunuch. He didn't have no intercourse. He didn't have a wife. Okay? It's not recorded in the scripture that Yahawashi had a wife. And if he kept the commandments and was without sin, if he had no wife, then that means he had no intercourse. He was spotless. He was without blemish. He was a perfect Passover lamb for the sins of Israel to be in our propitiation, rather. Okay? So I'm just bringing this out a little bit. But, like last time, there were other men likened unto Solomon who came from Solomon in his bloodline, kings of Judah, that occupied same three components of the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel chapter 7. That his kingdom would be established, that he would help to build the temple, and that he would sin and would have to be punished for that sin. And if all these kings occupy that, as did Solomon, okay, then are we saying that all these men were reincarnated as Yahawashi? Okay? Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. And at the end of the day, I'm not bashing the camps. It's just we got to look at these things for what they are. Okay? I'm not just going to look, just because I respect the brother, he say something, I'm just going to follow after it. No, it's like, that don't sound right. That really just don't sound right. I'm not trying to say my understanding is so much greater than yours. It's like I read the Bible enough to know that don't make sense, man. It don't. I don't care how many times you try to slice it and dice it and nah, brother, you gotta look spiritual. You gotta squint your eye when you look at the scripture. That don't change. That don't change what's written right there, man. That's not making sense. Okay? All right, so we talked about Jehoshaphat the other day. We talked about Hezekiah. Okay, how they were great and how their kingdom were established, how they helped in the temple, and how they eventually sinned and had to pay for that. Okay, so you got Solomon, you got Jehoshaphat, Hezekiah. Now I'm going to deal with just Josiah and Zerubbabel. These are two other men that came through the line of David and who were kings. In Zerubbabel's case, he was more of a governor, but he was still a ruler over Judah. They occupied the same space as Solomon and fulfilled that covenant made to David. Okay? Now, I'm going to go to 2 Chronicles chapter 35 and 26. Talking about Josiah here. I don't want to confuse anybody. I just want to try to bring the scriptures out, and that through the Spirit, give me understanding, and that if you have a spiritual ear to hear, that you gain understanding. Okay? So 2 Chronicles chapter 35, verse 26, and it reads, Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and his goodness according to that which was written in the law of Yahweh. So only bringing this out just to speak of how Josiah was a good man, his goodness before the Most High. All right, we're going to now 1 Esdras 1 and 32. 1 Esdras 1 and 32. And in all Jewry they mourned for Josias. Yea, Jeremy the prophet lamented for Josias, and the chief men with the women made lamentation for him unto this day. And this was given out for an ordinance to be done continually in all the nation of Israel. So when Josiah died, all the people lamented for him. He said they lamented from him. They lamented from the day he died unto the current day. And an ordinance was made that all men might remember Josiah as a memorial. That speaks of how great a man is. Mm-hmm. When he dies, we want to remember him every year as a memorial to his goodness, to his greatness. Okay? Okay. We don't even do that for Solomon. But a memorial is made for Josiah. Does that mean Josiah came back as Yahawashi? No. It just means that Yahawashi had the self-same righteousness as these righteous men. But he's not them. He was here before them. He helped make them. Let's be spiritual. He helped make them, right? He's the Word, is he not? He fashioned and created that. He's the Word that is emitted out of the Father's mouth. He's before our creation, as says in Colossians. Let me grab that real quick. Bring these precepts out. I don't want to paraphrase. I believe it's Colossians. All right, Colossians chapter 1 and start with 15. Read to 17. Who is the image of the invisible Yah, the firstborn of every creature? Okay? For by him were all things created that are in heaven, that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, or all things were created by him and for him. Referring to Yahawashi. Verse 17, he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So all creation hinges on Yahawashi because he is the word of the Father. All right? I think there was another one I wanted to pull up. I guess that's it.
That's what you were looking for?
Yes, it seemed like it was worded a little different, but I guess that's it. Verse 17. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So he's the firstborn of creation. He created all things for himself. So when it was time for Josiah to be born, because even in Jeremiah chapter 1, the Most High says to Jeremiah, before you were in your mother's womb, I formed thee. I knew thee. Before I formed thee, I knew thee. So Yahawashi, the Son, the Word, already had that spirit form, already had that template body of who Josiah and these great men would be. And then placed them in the womb. Through the hands of creation, placed them in their proper place. Okay, so he knew Josiah. See, he don't have to come back as Josiah. He was there before Josiah. Yahawashi don't have to leapfrog through different people's bodies to get to the current. He's eternal. He died and gave us eternal redemption. He's seated at the right hand of the Father. And Isaiah said that you shall bear a son. He shall be called everlasting Father. Why would the Son be called everlasting Father? Because he came from the Father. All right, let's be spiritual now. We got to get out of this reincarnation stuff, man. We got to get out of that. That's not in the scripture. You can try to grab something and try to make it sound like that's not in there. Come on now. It's not in there. Is it in there?
No, it's not.
It's not in there. Okay. So we're going to get back. What was that at? Esther's. That's how I was at. So talking about Josiah and how righteous he was, that when he died, the people lamented and made it a memorial. It's an ordinance. Everybody, I want you to remember Josiah because this was a righteous man. He was a good man. Okay? Now I'm going to go to Sirach, chapter 49, verse 1. Again, we just want to reiterate the greatness of his kingdom. Okay? Just want to add some layers to it. Don't just want to say, oh, this is that and this is that. I want to add layers, okay? Just really add to it. So that when you're able to talk about these things, you have understanding. We can go to the precepts and say, nah, this is what it say right here. Okay? I can give you a big, juicy burger. With no pink inside now. No pink inside. But a big, juicy burger with a nice bun and all that, all the right condiments and everything. That burger is delicious. When you get finished, usually, you want some fries, a side, or something to go with it, right? You eat that burger and you kind of still got a little hankering for something. I still want a little something. You got to add some fries. You got to add something to chips, something. But then when you eat all that, then you need something to wash it down with. So I'm not just going to give you the burger. I'm going to give you the whole meal. You're not just going to buy the number 6. You're going to get the combo, okay? So through the Spirit, huh? What, you want a number 6? That's what you want right now? You think about it? I wouldn't mind having a number 6 right now without mayonnaise, whole tomato. No. Okay, so I'm not just going to give you the sandwich. I'm going to give you the combo. So that you may be fed. That's the title of this, Soul Food. We're trying to get fed, okay? With spiritual food. With spiritual understanding. So that we might be edified in Yahweh, okay? All right, so Sirach, chapter 49, verse 1. Okay. And it reads, the remembrance of Josiah is like the composition of the perfume that is made by the art of the apothecary. It is sweet as honey in all mouths, and as music at a banquet of wine. So the writer is saying Josiah's life was like perfume, meaning it smelled good. You've ever just walked into a room or walked past someone and smelled a sweet fragrance? That smells good. Honeysuckle or something, whether it's a natural smell or whether it's some sort of perfume or cologne or something. You weren't expecting it, especially if you came from somewhere that just stinks. And you walk past it and, oh wow, that's good. What he had on? That smelled nice. I need to cap that for myself. You know? That's what Josiah's life was like. You take notice. That's essentially what it's saying. Saying also that that's sweet as honey in all mouths. Who doesn't like honey? Okay? And as music at a banquet of wine. So if you having a great meal and you have the wine, you can sit there and talk. But if some nice music is being played while you're eating and conversing with friends in the background, that just adds to it. Makes it better. While you eating your number 6 combo meal, you can have some music playing in the background. You know what I'm saying? It just makes the experience so much better. And that's Josiah's life right there. Oh, you ain't got your Bible. I was going to have you read.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I know, but Jonathan will be slow with the sword. I need somebody quick.
Hey, man. That's how you get faster.
All right. And you got to read faster, too. You be reading kind of slow. I want my viewers going to sleep. All right, 2 Kings, chapter 23, 22, and 25. I'll let you read, though. Okay. So, again, we're just bringing out scripture to add layers to this idea that if Solomon was supposed to be reincarnated as Yahawashi, then all of these men, Jehoshaphat, Josiah, Hezekiah, Zerubbabel, have just as much claim, according to the scripture, to be fit to be reincarnated as Yahawashi. And now is Yahawashi being reincarnate as 5+ different men? Okay, so that's all I'm doing, just adding layers, just adding some context, adding some volume to this, okay? I'm giving you the meal. So, 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 22 and 25. And it reads, surely there was not holden such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor of the kings of Judah. 25. And like unto him was there no king before him that turned to Yahweh with all his heart, and with all his soul, and with all his might, according to all the law of Moses, neither after him arose there any like him. Josiah. This is what was said of Josiah. There was no Passover that was as great as Josiah's Passover. And you got to remember, Solomon had a whole bunch of wealth and built the kingdom. Oh, not the kingdom, built the temple. And had a great, I believe it was the Passover that they were celebrating. But Josiah's was even better. And Josiah was righteous. He said there was no king that was so diligent as to keep the laws than Josiah. More than David? More than David, his forefather? He was, according to technicality and according to the scripture here, he was more precise in the keeping of the laws than David. He said, and after. Is he referring to Yahawashi? No. No. Because Yahawashi precedes both David and Josiah. Yahawashi asked, who's this the Mashiach, right? Whose son is he? David's son. Okay, then why did David call him Lord or Master or call, why did he give him preeminence? Essentially, why did Mashiach Why did David give Mashiach preeminence if he's his son? I don't know. So when they're talking about Josiah was greater than any king before and any king after in his righteous living, Yahawashi is excluded. Because if Josiah was that great, then it would have been Josiah who died for Israel. But he didn't. But what we can say is Yahawashi possessed the self-same righteousness as all of these men. Every wonderful quality that these righteous men bore, Yahawashi had.
And more.
And more. And was without spot and without blemish. But let us recognize those three components of the Davidic covenant made in 2 Samuel chapter 7. The latter part is that if they sin, they will be chastened with the rods of men. So as righteous as Josiah was, and a memorial and all of that was made for him, even Josiah went off. He went off too, so we're going to get into that in just a moment. Let's see. 2 Chronicles 35 and 18. Hold on one second. I just got a lot of scripture, so I want to be thorough. All right. Okay, that's just repeating the same thing. I don't have to read that. Okay, so we talked about his greatness. So we're establishing Josiah was a great man. He was a righteous man. We talked about before how Hezekiah, he was righteous, very righteous. Men gave him gifts. Jehoshaphat, he was righteous like his father Asa. Or Asa, however you want to pronounce that. Okay, these men were righteous. They kept the commandments of the Most High, but they all went off at some point. Now let's talk about Josiah and his helping to build the kingdom, I keep saying kingdom, build the temple or repair the temple. 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 5. John, if you want to read something from me?
Yeah.
Grab me 2 Chronicles 34 and 10. I'm going to read 2 Kings 22 and 5.
You said 2 Chronicles?
2 Chronicles 34 and 10. Yeah, see how quick he gonna be with that sword. Oh, you got it? Oh, he got it. Okay. All right, so 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 5. And let them deliver it into the hand of the doers of the work that have the oversight of the house of Yahweh, and let them give it to the doers of the work which is in the house of Yahweh to repair the breaches of the house. So this is the command that Josiah is giving to the workers, because it just falls on his heart. I want to go and fix up the house of the Most High. And in his fixing up the house, the high priest and Shaphan the scribe finds the book of the law and brings it to Josiah's attention. And he has that book read before him. And he's so convicted by what he reads, he rents his clothes and goes on a campaign, a crusade, I'll use that word, a crusade of righteousness to tear down everything wicked within his kingdom. A righteous crusade. He was so moved. He was so zealous of good works. I can't let this be anymore. You mean to tell me we've been sinning this whole entire time? So, of course, Josiah must have obviously had a simple understanding of who the Most High was. You know, just like brothers who first come into the truth and, oh, I'm Israel. But then when you start to go deeper and show them, real, the commandments and the precept, oh, that's a sin. I ain't know that. Mm-hmm. I'm not supposed to eat that. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do that. Dang, I ain't know that. Most brothers, they'll hear it and go in one ear and kind of out the other. Next day, it don't matter. But Josiah was filled with such zeal. He went on this righteous crusade. So it's like telling the brother, you're not supposed to eat pork. You're not supposed to be marrying these foreign women. Brother, you're supposed to be keeping the Sabbath day. Brother, you're supposed to be doing this. Brother, you're supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be doing that. Really? Let me grab a notebook. Let me write this down. This is deep, man. Mm-hmm. Josiah was moved within his spirit to do the will of the Most High. Okay, but it's saying right here, he had a mind initially just to go and repair the temple. Okay? I'm going to read chapter 23 of 2 Kings, verses 7, 11, 12. He brake down the house of the Sodomites that were by the house of Yahweh, where the woman wove hangings for the grove. So, now remember, this is a byproduct of the sin that Solomon allowed. Okay? Now, after Solomon, you had wicked kings, but then you had righteous kings. And like Jehoshaphat, I believe it is. And was it Jehoshaphat or one of the kings? They were righteous to establish the righteous order, but it would say in the scripture, I'm not sure if it's Jehoshaphat or not, but they would say in the scripture, but he did not tear down the high groves. So it's like you did righteous, but like you still kind of permitted evildoers to kind of do their thing in the corner. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the self-same zeals. Josiah wasn't playing no games. He didn't want no closet pagan, heathen, trying to get away with it. He was opening up the closet. You know, some brothers are kind of timid. Brother, don't go to the closet because you're going to find something and go, well, just, I'm breaking open the closet. Get out that closet. I'm killing everybody in the closet. I'm cleaning this closet out.
Burning everything up.
Some brothers like, well, you know, this, just turn our attention away from the closet. We just going to focus on. No. Josiah wasn't playing no games. All right, but it says here, and he brake down the houses of the Sodomites. What are Sodomites? Homosexuals, transgenders, right? Essentially what sodomy is to have anal intercourse. Okay? We don't got to go no further than that. But that's what sodomy is. And that's, you know, men with men, you know, women with women and men with women. Bestiality as well. Any of that stuff. It can fall under the category of sodomy. So he break down the house of the Sodomites that were by the house of Yahweh. So they put up a brothel. They put up a brothel right next to the temple of the Most High. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So when you go into the house and you give your perverted, abominable worship, you can go out and pay and have some girl or guy turn tricks for you.
They didn't have any fear.
They didn't have no fear of the Most High. Put a brothel right next to the divine house of the Most High Yahweh. A brothel where the Sodomites was at and where the women were making ornaments and hangings for the groves. A grove essentially is like, you've seen some of these in Canada or whatever, you see the totem pole. These Native Americans, they say are the children of Israel, Gadites, but they going off, and I'm going to leave that alone for right now. But these native peoples, they built these, what they call totem poles. Now, the ancient groves during the time of Israel resembled that. They were like a great statue, a monument, a monolith, okay? With faces and different things like that. So they built them. And they made hangings. They like clothed it, you know, like put clothes on it. And like it wasn't quite like it's not like the graven image. Like the graven image was usually something that you can touch or whatever. But like the grove, it was like a symbol. Almost like a billboard to let others know this is where the false worship is going on at.
Like Bohemian Grove, for example.
Yeah.
Picture that.
Yeah. So you got the groves, which are usually around trees because it was made out of wood. It's made out of a tree. Okay? And so you got the Sodomites in the brothel. You got the women making clothes and making ornaments for these groves and the high places. Josiah said, it's a wrap. I'm about to murk all y'all. All right, verse 11. And he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun at the entering in of the house of Yahweh by the chamber of Nathan-melech the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs, and burnt the chariots of the sun with fire. So not only did to one side did they have a brothel with all manner of wicked sexual immorality going on in there, but then right before the temple, they had all these horses and chariots dedicated to the sun god. Right before. He said he got rid of the horses and he took the chariots and burnt them up. He burnt them up. It would be like you got the temple, right? You got the brothel, you got the strip joint, and then parked out in front of the Most High's temple, you got all these pimp mobiles. Essentially. When you see a pimp mobile, you know what it is. You know what it represents. He's like, I'm not having this in front of the Most High's house. I'm burning it up. Okay? Verse 12. And the altars that were on the top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of Yahweh, did the king beat down and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kidron. So King Ahaz and King Manasseh made additions to the house of Yahweh. Little extra chambers and balcony and upper rooms for secret worship. Probably to let some of them tricks and hoes go inside the house and have sex in there as worship unto their false gods in the house of the Most High. Had the pimp mobile chariots with the horses outside, had the brothel, the strip joint right next door, and had all manner of rooms, extra rooms built in the temple of the Most High just to accommodate the false gods. That kind of sounds like the Christian church a little bit. Sound like the Christian church. You got 2 Chronicles 34:10?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read that for me.
And they put it in the hand of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of Yahweh. And they gave it to the workmen that wrote in the house of Yahweh to repair and amend the house.
Okay. So again, just affirming that Josiah took it upon himself to have the temple repaired. It was in disarray. It was in disrepair. And there's about a lot of crap that was plaguing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Defiling the holy house of the Most High. He destroyed all of that. Get rid of it. He stomped it into dust and put it in the brook Kidron. All right, so we're going to go on from there. And now we're going to talk about Josiah's sin and how he was afflicted with the rods of men, the stripes of the children of men. Now remember, Josiah was a great man, righteous man. A memorial made for Josiah, but he still went off, man. He still went off. Just like Solomon, just like Jehoshaphat, just like King Hezekiah. They all were righteous at some point. They all helped to build the kingdom, but then they sinned and they all had to pay for it. In different ways, but they paid for it. All right, we're going to go to, well, since you still got 2 Chronicles chapter 34, read me verse 24 and 25. But you said you had it. Oh.
His servants therefore took him out of that chariot and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem. And he said, and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers, and all Yehuda and Jerusalem mourned for Joseph.
Just with Josiah, but that's all right.
Josiah, yeah.
Hold that right there, because I might need you to come back to it. Go to the next chapter, 35, and read verses 20 through 24. So just hold your finger where you're at and then go to the next chapter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading actually from 35.
Okay,
I
then.
thought he was.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
it-
sorry. I'm
All
sorry.
right, well, read 34
Yeah,
and
let
20.
me go back and okay. My apologies.
25.
See, you gotta get your sword together, man. Look, you just killed your own dude. I'm gonna get on him until he get better.
Hey,
All right,
yeah,
so
yeah.
34, 24, and 25.
All right. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will bring evil upon this place and upon the inhabitants thereof. If even all the curses there are written in the Sefer, which they have read before the king of Yahweh. Because they have forsaken me and have burned incense unto other Elohim, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath shall be poured out upon this place, and shall not be quenched.
So even though Josiah did the will of the Most High and was, was on this righteous crusade to make things right, it still did not stop the Most High from wanting to bring wrath. Now, he was spared from the great evils that would come, but he would have to pay for his own personal sin that will come a little later that you're going to read in chapter 35. But the prophetess actually comes and reveals these things. Look, your eye won't see the evil that will come on this land, but the Most High is prepared to bring judgment. Because although a king, can reform legislation and set up the righteous order, that still doesn't reform the minds of the people. You feel what I'm saying? He can say, okay, let's think about it like this. During Prohibition, they outlawed liquor and the selling of alcohol because the government said they did not want it sold. Did that stop people from not wanting to drink?
No.
It just created a greater underworld criminal enterprise to try to smuggle in alcohol.
Sure, because alcohol was built, America was built on alcohol. Basically, one of the, main resources things that was for America that had been built, was alcohol.
But thank you. And the point of that is, even though the government set up what they believe was a righteous, order, it still didn't reform the people's mind. They didn't say, okay, well, since the government says that, let's not drink anymore. People said, I want my booze. And I'll do whatever I gotta do, whether I gotta make it myself or go to a speakeasy or whatever. I'm getting my booze or have it imported from elsewhere. Okay, until eventually Prohibition was overturned. So in the same way, Josiah can be righteous and say, this is what I want in my kingdom, but that don't mean everyone's heart's going to be in agreement to it. Mm-hmm. And for that, the Most High said, you know what, I'm sick of this. Josiah, you found favor in my sight because you had a tender heart. You were humble enough to change. You rent your clothes. I saw the tears you cry. I saw how you asked for forgiveness. And so you're going to have mercy. But as for this people, I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them. Now, go back to chapter 35 of 2 Chronicles, verses 20 through 24.
After all this, when Yahawashi had prepared the temple,
is probably just another variation, so it's talking about Josiah.
Josiah, I'm sorry. After all this, when Josiah had prepared the temple, Necho king of Misraim came upon to fight against
Salakia. So we're seeing here that there was the king of Egypt who was commissioned by the Most High to go and fight another nation. All right. So as this king of Egypt is getting prepared to fight this other nation, which has nothing to do with Israel, Josiah took it upon himself to want to go and confront this king. Think about what I'm saying. The Most High has given Josiah peace and everything. This king is about to go fight another nation. He's not about to come and mess with Josiah or nothing. Josiah steps in the way and say, I'm about to fight you. What? The king is like, what are you doing? I'm not even worried about you. I'm trying to fight him over here. But I'm about to fight you. I don't know if he was an ally to his opponent, but he was looking to fight the king of Egypt. He's like, bruh, get out of here before you get murked. Like, I'm not even trying to... Go on and read what you have there from 20 to 24.
Okay.
You can start from the top.
I was on 24, right? Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Read from 20 to 24.
Yeah. By Parat. And Josiah,
Josiah.
yes, excuse me, went out against him, but he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with you, King Yehuda?
So he's asking, what do I have to do with you, Josiah? I don't have no problem with you, bro. What you coming out here trying to fight me for? Keep going.
I come not against you this day, but against the house where I have war. For Elohim commanded me to make haste.
Salakia. So he's telling Josiah, look, your God, the Most High Yahweh, spoke to me and told me to fight old boy over here. Why are you getting in the middle of this? I am ordered by the Most High Father to war against this dude over here. Don't get in the way, Josiah. Go back to where you came from. This don't concern you, bruh. This don't concern you. Keep going.
Forbear you from meddling with Elohim, who is with me, that he destroy you not. Nevertheless, Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguise him, that he might fight with him, and hearken not unto the words of Nico from the mouth of Elohim, and came to fight in the valley of Midigo. And the archers shot at King Josiah, shot at King Josiah.
Salakia. You said Nico. That's the same.
Mm-hmm.
It says Nico.
N-E, is it Neko?
What is it?
N-E-K-O, Nico.
I thought it was Jeremiah, but maybe not. Because when it was the prophet Jeremiah that spoke to him. Well, anyway, the point is,
you know how the words are different.
Yeah, the prophet spoke to Josiah and said, do not go up to fight. Now remember, this is Josiah, who was a very great man, a very righteous man. When he saw the book of the law, he had in his mind to do what is right. He was given a direct commandment from the prophet and say, do not go up to war. But he goes and does it anyway. The same righteous man, not knowing, and just went out to war on his flesh and then was killed. He was told by the prophet, if you go up to war, you will die. I'm going up anyway. That's not like you, Josiah, to be disobedient to the Most High, to be disobedient to the voice of the prophet, and then have the king say, bruh, the Most High said for me to go and fight him. Go back where you came from. I'm giving you warning. But Josiah did not listen to the prophet, did not listen to the Pharaoh, did not listen to the father, disguised himself. Man, I'm going to fight. I don't care what nobody say. Where's this wicked spirit coming from? Don't the scriptures say that, goodness, where I'm trying to think of the scripture. Rebellion is likened unto witchcraft. He rebelled against the voice of the Most High. That's a wicked spirit right there. But this is still a righteous man, but he went off. That's the same thing Jehoshaphat did. Got the word from Micaiah, the prophet, and still went up where Ahab. I don't get, y'all just zealous to fight? Y'all just bored being king? I want to feel like fighting somebody. That's what it gotta be. Because like, if a prophet, a true divine prophet that I can vouch for, that is true of the Most High, tells me, Craig, you shouldn't go and do that because it's probably going to bring you to death. All right, cool. I'm just going to chill at home. I'm not going. But these brothers are riled up. Yeah, I know what he said, but I gotta go do that. I gotta handle mine. You feel me? Like, you tripping. You going off. And for that, Josiah died. He died. He didn't have to die. The Most High said, your eyes will not see the evil that will come upon this land. But Josiah went off. Didn't listen to the prophet and didn't listen to the king. He just went up. I'm going to disguise myself. I'm going to put on all black. And when I come out there, I'm going to kill up everybody. And you ended up getting killed. So he was stricken with the rods of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Okay? And now we're going to talk about Zerubbabel. All right? Let's talk about his greatness, his kingdom being established. Okay? I'm going to go to Haggai chapter. You still ain't got your Bible. We almost done anyway, so.
So do I need to get it?
Nah, you ain't. Just stay right here. Just keep me company. All right, Haggai chapter 2, verse 20. Yeah, I might have you read something else. Haggai chapter 2, verse 20 through 23. And again, the word of Yahweh came unto Haggai in the 4th and 20th day of the month, saying, Speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Judah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. In that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, will I take thee, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, saith Yahweh, and will make thee as a signet, for I have chosen thee, saith Yahweh of hosts. So the prophet Haggai is speaking this word to Zerubbabel and saying that you will be a signet, you will be a representation of what I'm going to do in the future. And that through you, I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms and will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen. Now, has that happened? Have we heard of Zerubbabel and the children of Israel having any global domination right after the Babylonian captivity? No. Has anyone had that happen where all the kingdoms of the earth were utterly destroyed and Yahweh and his righteous servant was reigning? No, that hasn't happened. So what is Haggai really talking about? He's talking about the return of Mashiach. He will come in the spirit of Zerubbabel. Why is Zerubbabel chosen? Because not like the other kings who were given, who were in freedom allowed to sit upon their kingship throne, but Zerubbabel came out of captivity to come back to the land to bring, to bring rulership. So why Zerubbabel is chosen as the signet, as the image of the representation of the fulfillment of this prophecy, is because Zerubbabel will, or the servant that will come in the spirit of Zerubbabel, will have a work that is likened unto Zerubbabel. Yahawashi is going to bring the people out of captivity and place in the land, and will begin to rebuild the temple and have his kingdom be established forever. Yes, Yahawashi will have a glory like Hezekiah and Josiah and Solomon and David and all these kings, but their kingdom was a little different. They were anointed. There was a coronation. They sat upon their kingdom, and that was what it was. Zerubbabel is a little different. He wasn't even a king. He was a governor. He came out of captivity, gathered the people to set up or to try to establish Jerusalem once again. That's the self-same mission Yahawashi will have. Bring his people out of captivity, to anoint them, to unify them, and to put down all of the heathen, according to the prophet of Haggai. The prophecy of Haggai, rather. Okay? Let me see. That's all I wanted to say there. Go to Zechariah verses 4 and 9.
What chapter? Oh, chapter 4.
Zechariah chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. All right, so we're talking about Zerubbabel, who was governor over Judah. Okay? And Haggai just said, look, I'm going to use you as a signet. Signet being a sign, being an example, being a representation. Okay? I'm going to use you as a signet, use you as a representation, an example. So it's not for you actually, but it's you represent something, because you represent something to the people now. When I speak this prophecy, the people now can get it. They're not going to get it if I don't use you as a signet. Okay? In Ezekiel 28, when he talks to the king of Tyre, the prince of Tyre, okay, all these different things, but then he speaks about an angel, anointed angel, an anointed cherub that covereth, and all these different things. Is that the king of Tyre? No, that's spiritual. He represented something. You feel what I'm saying? He represented something. So Zerubbabel is not Yahawashi reincarnate, but that Zerubbabel represents something for the people. He's a signet of what Yahawashi will be. All right, so now we're in Zechariah chapter 4, verses 9 and 10. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. So in actuality, in history, Zerubbabel came out of captivity, the Babylonian captivity. He galvanized his people. They went into Jerusalem, and he began to build the altar and lay the foundation for the temple that would be built. Zerubbabel actually did that. Okay? His hand shall also finish it. Now, the temple was not finished under Zerubbabel. It was not finished. But again, the prophet Zechariah is using Zerubbabel as that signet, just as Haggai used Zerubbabel as a signet to the people. So you laid the foundation, but you shall finish it. Was it actually him? No, he did not. He died before he was able to finish the temple. Meaning that Yahawashi, who would bear the spirit of Zerubbabel, leading the people out of captivity, will come into the land and be able to build and finish this divine house, this temple. Okay? His hand shall also finish it, and thou shalt know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me unto you. 10. For who hath despised the day of small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet and the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of Yahweh, which run to and fro through the whole earth. So plummet, which I'm going to bring out Amos 7 and 7. A plummet or a plumb line is an architectural instrument or an engineering instrument which helps one determine the straightness or perpendicular straightness of a wall or a structure. So what you would do is take a string and put a weight at the bottom of the string and let it dangle. Okay? And because of gravity and all of that, the plumb line or the plummet would line up, to where something was straight, and then you would make your measurements and your calculations based off of that. They said that the idea of the plummet or the plumb line came from ancient Egypt. Okay, so this is what builders used when they were building houses to make sure walls were straight. So when they're talking about Zerubbabel or this future Zerubbabel coming with a plummet or a plumb line, essentially saying that he's going to have an instrument to bring correction. He's going to set it among the people. Did not Yahawashi say? Let me see if I can find out. Try not to paraphrase. I'm just try to bring it out. Bear with me. Bear with me. Where's it at? Help me find this. Come on. Where's it at? Can you got your phone?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find this. I want to read it. I think it should be somewhere around here. I think. That's how gritty. What's up with that?
Flower.
Bear with me, y'all. Alright, so we're talking about Zerubbabel being, let me try to go to my Bible, being a signet, being a representation of the future Zerubbabel that will come. Not Zerubbabel reincarnated as someone else, but that this other person, this servant, okay, this prophet that will come likened unto Moses. So that's another example of Yahawashi, or Moses being a signet, if you will, of that great servant that will come. That doesn't mean Moses was reincarnated as Yahawashi, but that he's that prophet fulfilling scripture with the self-same spirit and self-same mission as Moses, to be a leader of the people. So in the same way, Zerubbabel is a signet of what Yahawashi would be, having the self-same mission or spirit. But he's saying that Zerubbabel will have a plumb line, having this instrument of correction, and will set it among the people. Okay, I'm going to Matthew chapter 25, verses 31 through 34. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, just like is spoken of in Haggai. He will tear down the kingdom, and he will sit upon his throne. 32. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. 33. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand representing honor. Okay? But the goats on the left representing dishonor. So the sheep are the elect of Israel, and they shall be on the right hand. They shall have their inheritance, they shall have their salvation. The goats are the wicked. They should be on the left hand, and they're going to get what they got coming to them. 34. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So that's what this plumb line represents, to bring division, to separate. Just as the plummet, would line things up and get things in order. It's the same thing that Yahawashi is doing. So let me read that one more time. Zechariah 4, 9 and 10. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it. And thou shalt know that Yahweh of hosts hath sent me unto you. For thou hast despised the day of small things. For they shall rejoice, and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of Yahweh. Now, did not Yahawashi, when he represented in let me grab that too, in Revelations. Okay, bear with me, y'all. I'm gonna try to get it. I'm gonna try to, you want extra fries? I'm gonna get you extra fries to go with your meal now. Okay. Now, if you asking for fries, I ain't gonna give you a ketchup packet. All right, I'm gonna give you extra fries.
Some meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we looking for Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Come on. Here we go. So, going back to Zechariah 4 and 9, or so we'll go with 10. For who hath despised the day of the small things? For they shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hands of Zerubbabel. So we're not talking about literal Zerubbabel, but talking about Yahawashi, who represents Zerubbabel, having the plummet, having the plumb line in his hand, and the people shall rejoice. The elect are going to rejoice, that is. With those seven, meaning those seven spirits, as Yahawashi had in Revelations 1 when he encountered John, having the candlestick with the seven spirits and all of that. Okay? They are the eyes of Yahweh which run to and fro in the whole earth. Now I'm going to give you Revelations chapter 5, verse. I just had it. I just had it, man. I tell you what. I just had the scripture. Okay, here we go. Revelation chapter 5, verse 6. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain. You know who that is. Having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yah, which sent forth into all the earth. The same thing that's said in Zechariah. He said that having Zerubbabel with those 7, meaning 7 eyes. 7 spirits, okay? With Zerubbabel, this spiritual Zerubbabel. They are the eyes of Yahweh which run to and fro through the whole earth. Here it says, these are the 7 spirits of Yah sent forth into all the earth. So that's the lamb. Zerubbabel is the lamb. Zerubbabel is not being reincarnated, but he's the signet. He's representing what Yahawashi is, having the 7 spirits of the Most High that go to and fro in the earth. Okay? All right, so I'm going to bring out Amos real quick. I'm trying to finish this up. We got a handful more scriptures. We'll be done. I'm going to finish up tomorrow, this whole topic. Yeah, we're going to have it on tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Never wrong time to have Bible study.
Nope, it's
Khan.
always good.
Khan.
Hallelujah.
Khan.
Khan.
There you go. All right. Amos chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Amos chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Well, there you go. The police trying to go start a crime. There you go. You know how Esau do, man. Jake can be digging up his nose. They find that as a felony. You know what I'm saying? We're in this wicked captivity. You hearing about today? Citizens, black people in Milwaukee broke up police officers who were taking black girls into sex trafficking rings. They had it in these 2 houses, and they filmed it, and they were like trying to break it up, and they burnt the house down because this is stuff that has been going on for years.
The black people burned it up?
Yeah, burned up the house because they were taking girls and bringing them into that house to smuggle them into sex trafficking rings. Police officers. Now, we already know they were doing that in Chicago. They're doing it all over the nation. This is what they're doing to our people, man. These young daughters, when they go missing and you see them on the back of that news flyer, they're probably in a sex trafficking ring. For real. Word. Wickedness. But Esau about to be destroyed, man. You just got to sit tight and keep these commandments. Esau is going to be utterly annihilated, and I'm looking forward to it. Look at that. I got it. Open up the Obadiah. Would you look at that's the spirit right there. That's the spirit. All right. Verses 15 to 16 of Obadiah. I'm going to read that real quick since the Spirit led me here. For the day of Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. For as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Okay? Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Verse 16. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Okay? What's the other scripture? Let's talk about. Where it say they all gonna be dead. That's the one I want to read. They all gonna be dead. Where does it say that? Leave that alone for right now. Thy mighty men, O Taman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Verse 9. Verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. There we go. Shall be cut off forever. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. Since George Floyd was killed, we have had countless. Now, I don't know if they can be verified because it is social media, but countless. I'm hearing this young brother being killed in the street, another brother being killed, young girls being hung, someone being burnt with fire. The girl I was telling you about, she didn't die. She just got a lighter or torch thrown at her face or something like that for no reason. You know, all of this stuff is happening, man. Since George Floyd, we're not even talking about since Trayvon Martin, since George Floyd. And that happened, and all the riots and all the protesting and all the Black Lives Matter, which are led by a group of lesbians, by the way, and funded by George Soros. Is that Soros? Okay, so let's have some context to that. But since all that has gone down, they're still murdering our people. When are we going to wake up? So it lets you know that protesting and all this stuff is not the key. Is not what's going to bring a change. We have to be steadfast in keeping these commandments and separate from the heathen. But you'll have a person get upset because of what a white person do and then be like, well, they not all bad. I got, my white boyfriend and this and that. You're going to be thrust through according to the scriptures, man. You're going to have your head chopped off. You're going to be put to death, man. Because you rather sleep with the heathen as opposed to keeping the commandments of the Most High Yahweh. You don't even know who you are. You call yourself a Nubian. You call yourself Egyptian. You call yourself a Moor. You call yourself all types of stupid bywords. I'm African American. I'm colored. I'm this or that. You don't even know that you are of the seed of Jacob. And this law was given unto our forefathers to keep. And the reason why this stuff is afflicting you, your family, and your people is because you transgressed against the commandments. And so now these curses are overtaking you. The word said it will overtake you till thou be destroyed. The Most High wasn't playing when he said it. Don't you think Moses wept when he heard them words? Don't you think Moses wept when he saw the prophecy thousands of years later that his people would have to bear? Moses was the meekest man upon the whole earth. So I know Moses was crying when he saw this stuff. When he saw the revelation, like, this for real? This is what we're going to have to go through? Yep. And he's weeping even now. Because we just won't get it together. Let me get back. Amos chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Thus he showed me, and behold, Yahweh stood upon a wall made by a plumb line, with the plumb line in his hand. So back to Zechariah 4. Got that plumb line, that plummet, that instrument in his hand. Verse 8. And Yahweh said unto me, Amos, what seest thou? When I said a plumb line. Then said Yahweh, behold, I will set a plumb line in the midst of my people Israel. I will not again pass by them anymore. So once I correct them, I won't have to do it no more. According to Matthew chapter 25, according to Zechariah 4, I'm going to have to purge my people out. I'm going to have to correct and do some stuff. But once I do it, I won't have to do it no more. Just like when the architect or the builder uses the plumb line and gets his calculations just right, he don't have to do it again. If he's an expert and he knows what he's doing, he don't have to take measurements again and do none of that. He got it just right. I won't have to measure again. I won't have to chop or cut or do anything again. Once I get my numbers right, once I get my calculation, once I get the plumb line lined up just right, I'm good. And once the house is built, it's built. If you be spiritual. Okay? All right, so go back to Haggai. Jonathan. Matter of fact, give me Sirach chapter 49.
Sirach.
Yeah.
It's also Ecclesiastes.
Okay.
Well, while you looking for Sirach 49, I'm going to read Haggai chapter 1, verse 1 and 14. And the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, and the first day of the month, came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, verse 14, and Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people. And they came and did work in the house of Yahweh of hosts there, Yah. So you see that he was called to do this, and he came to help build the temple of the Most High. Zerubbabel, along with Joshua, the high priest, they came to build the temple along with the people. I'm going to bring out Ezra chapter 3, verse 2. Just reaffirming these things. Ezra chapter 3, verse 2. You found it?
What chapter did you tell me?
Chapter 49. And just stay on verse 1. I'll have you read it in a second. All right, Ezra chapter 3, verse 2. Then stood up Joshua son of Josedek and his brethren the priests, Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel his brethren, and builded the altar of Yahweh of Israel to offer burnt offerings thereon, as it is written in the law of Moses the man of Yah. So again, to just affirm, this is what Zerubbabel went on to do. He helped in building the temple, but he started in building the altar first so that they could perform sacrifice for sin. I mean, it gives you great perspective when you're coming out of a captivity to realize your sinfulness. If all you know is prosperity, then you may not really regard the mercy and grace of the Most High Father. But when you just came out of 70 years of captivity in another land, and you're not able to enjoy the fruits of your own labor, it makes you have a sense of, you know what I'm saying, importance of the things that are to be done. And prayerfully for the elect, the sheep that will be on the right hand, when we come up out of this captivity, when Yahawashi frees us, who comes in the spirit of Zerubbabel to free us out of captivity, like Moses as well, because Moses led his people out of captivity with great signs and wonders. I pray that Israel will have a mind and a spirit to do the will of the Most High and be like, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Even the wealthy in this captivity of our black people,
Yeah.
they are waking up, knowing that they are in captivity too, but first of all, we know that most of them grew up in poverty and became wealthy through their music or acting or whatever it is that they are into, but they're realizing that they are in captivity today, even though they might have wealth in a big house or cars or whatever. They realize that we are in captivity, and they see the struggles or the curses that our people are under with all of the killing that is going on with us.
I think the Most High is really in this day bringing on these curses so much to where you've tried all of the other options. It's like, okay, what is going on? We protesting, we doing all this, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all this stuff has happened. What? Why is it still happening? Why are they killing us? Let me show you in the Word. Let me show you. Let me show you why this is happening. Wait, so this is happening because we sinned? Yeah. But another point to what you're saying with the celebrities. We don't understand the deep, dark, wicked stuff that goes on behind these entertainment industries and what they may be connected to and maybe needing some sense of spiritual outlet. They know they have to perform some sort of wicked deed just to keep that money rolling in. And they're looking at the scriptures and hearing this and like, man, almost making me want to come up out of this for real, for real. But you got to make a choice. Just like the rich ruler came to Yahawashi and said, what must I do to, get eternal life? All right, keep the commandments. Well, I did this since my youth. What else? What else you want me to do? All right, take everything you own, sell it, and give it to the poor and come follow me. Come rock with my boys, man. Come again? Sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and come rock with me. Yeah, I'm going to have to go. And never heard from him again. I'll be right back. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to my house, I'm going to put some things in order, and I'll be right back. Okay, all right, cool. And he never came back. The scriptures say that he wept bitterly. So when he walked off, he started crying. I don't think I can do that. So it's nice to hear Ice Cube and T.I. and Common and Tiffany Haddish and Fantasia and all these different people coming into the truth. Carmelo. All of them, I've already heard about Amari Stoudemire. He's probably the first person where I heard this truth from someone like a celebrity. When I first heard him talking about he was Israel and he was Jewish and all that, I laughed at this dude. I'm like, you tripping. I'm like, our people just be bandwagon jumping on anything. Not having no understanding for myself. I was a teenager at the time when I was hearing this. I thought he was crazy. Like, you ain't Jewish. You black. Like, what are you talking about? You Jewish. Had no understanding. But the important thing is not only that you get sensationalized by this word, but as even I heard Naquam put it in this way, like that scroll. It tastes sweet when you eat it, but then in your belly is bitter. So it tastes sweet when you're hearing about all the, the promises and, I'm Israel and bow down, kiss my feet. But then it becomes bitter when you're persecuted or the sacrifice it takes to keep these commandments. Okay? So when it becomes bitter, because you can't change the bitter taste. All you can try to do is vomit it. So you're going to vomit up the word? You going to remove the word from your life and vomit it up just to get rid of that bitter taste? Nah. You better digest it and deal with the results. For it shall bring forth rivers of living water.
Yes, hallelujah.
If you go on and digest it. Don't vomit it up. Don't try to take something else sweet, something wicked, some spoiled milk to try to drink it down and think that's going to make it better. I need candy or something. You got some candy? Because this is just better in my belly. Deal with it. This is the cup Yahawashi drunk of. You ready to take that cup, man? Ready to drink from that cup? This is the cup of my passion. Are you prepared to drink from the cup, Peter?
Eat of his flesh and drink of his
Yeah.
blood.
Okay. Did I read what I'm supposed to read? Yeah. So now I need Sirach 49, verse 4. Where he at?
He come.
Leaving the sword in the ground.
Verse 4.
Can't go on bathroom break, huh?
Excuse me.
Wait, hold up. Sirach chapter 49, verse 4, and then 11 and 12.
All except David and
Hezekiah
and Josiah were defective.
Salakia, so hold right there. So the writer is saying, out of all the kings that reigned, only David, Hezekiah, and Josiah were defective. So those three men, may have said that wrong, but those three men were not defective. Everyone else was defective as a king or ruler. okay, including Solomon, okay, including Jehoshaphat, okay. But David, Hezekiah, and Josiah, we brought out. Well, I didn't talk about David, but Hezekiah talked about last time, and Josiah we talked about today. They sinned. They transgressed. David, what did he do? He counted the people. He laid with Bathsheba and then killed her husband. He went off. That was a death penalty. Committing adultery, there's a death penalty for that. But he found forgiveness. Hezekiah, what did he do? He showed the princes of Babylon all of his riches. He went off. He shouldn't have did that. What did Josiah do? He went up to war when he got strict instructions not to. It happened to the man of Yah that prophesied his coming hundreds of years before. That man of Yah took hold on the altar and prophesied that a boy shall be born. His name will be Josiah, and he shall clean up the kingdom. And he was given strict commandments to come in one way and leave out another way. He disobeyed. And then hundreds of years later, Josiah was that righteous fulfillment of his prophecy, and he ended up dying by disobeying the word of the prophet. Ain't that something? But it says that those three were not defective. So they were revered before the Most High, but in actuality, all three of those men sinned a great sin, which led to their death. Kind of aside from David, but they did sin great sins before the Most High. But they were still counted as righteous. But read on. Verse 4.
All except David and Hezekiah and
Josiah.
Josiah were defective, for they forsook the Torah and
Just say Yahweh.
That's what Elion means?
Yeah, just say Yahweh.
So the point why I'm bringing this out is we're talking about Zerubbabel. So we're talking about the greatness of a kingdom, those three components of the Davidic covenant, right? That he would establish his kingdom, that he would help to build a house, and that if he sins, he will be chastened with the rods of men and the stripes of men, stripes of the children of men. Zerubbabel is not mentioned there. So obviously there was some defects in his character. You feel what I'm saying?
Or maybe it was just they named the kings.
Read verse 4 again.
All except David and Hezekiah and Josiah were defective, for they forsook the Torah of the Most High. Even the kings of Yehuda, of Yahweh failed.
And he was a king or a governor. He was a ruler over Judah. So he falls into that category, and he was defective, obviously. Okay? Because this was written after the times of Zerubbabel. So they could have easily put him in there. Okay? So he was defective. He went off at some point. So, read me 11 and 12. This goes back kind of to the temple, the point of the temple, but.
How shall we magnify Zerubbabel? Even he was as a signet on the right hand.
So, Zerubbabel, how shall we magnify him? How shall we give him a great memorial? How about this? We'll make him a signet, make him a representation of who Mashiach will be on the right hand, meaning at the place of honor. Keep going.
So was Yahawashi.
Or Joshua, son of Josedek.
Yeah. Yahawashi, the son of Josedek, who in their name and their time built the house and set up a holy temple to Yahweh, which was prepared for everlasting glory.
So the temple was eventually destroyed. That second temple was destroyed. But he's saying they built it, which was prepared for everlasting glory. So it's not talking about that actual building, but talking about the spirit of what they were doing. And that site, he even spoke to Solomon after he built that first temple. He said, in this place will I perpetually have my name. Not that building, because that building became defiled and destroyed. But I'm talking about this site. In the same place, Zerubbabel came back and built on that site. That temple was destroyed. But Yahawashi shall come back and build upon that site. And ain't nobody defiling it or tearing it down. He will build the great righteous temple. And he shall be the priest in the order of Melchizedek to come into the temple. And then the Father shall come and be all in all, as the scriptures say. Okay? So, we're just bringing these things out, adding layers to it. We're talking about Jehoshaphat, Hezekiah, Josiah, Zerubbabel, and how these men were just like Solomon. Okay? But they were defective. They went off. They sinned. Because the point of this whole thing is Solomon Yahawashi 2.0? Did Solomon come back as Yahawashi? Well, according to the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel chapter 7, those three components, establishing the kingdom, he will build the house of the Most High and be chastened for his iniquity. If that be so, then all five of these men could just as well been, reincarnated as Yahawashi, but we understand that's not true. And we're going to get into it even deeper, okay, on tomorrow. And we're going to leave it there. Shalom.
Shalom.